Hello and welcome to the Nothing But Static YouTube channel. You may notice I am lacking Chris in this video. The reason is that we've made this one quite quickly to respond to something that sort of happened in the week. Basically there was a small snafu at the BBC this week, and by snafu we mean one of the most ridiculous screw-ups in the history of keeping productions under wraps. Basically, the scripts for the upcoming season of Doctor Who, for the first 5 episodes worth of scripts, became available to the public this week. Basically, what happened was the BBC were transferring the scripts, and from what we hear, the episodes themselves, digitally to BBC Miami for translations, and they were temporarily on a public server that they shouldn't have been on, and they were quickly found by God knows who, and the rest is, well, torrents, most likely. So it spread pretty quickly, so the scripts are out there now. Now, the BBC have requested that people do not spoil the secrets contained within the scripts, and we don't intend to do that, but we have noticed there has been a demand for basic information, the sort of information that would likely be available before the episodes go to air anyway, from Next Time trailers and Doctor Who magazine. Information like the titles, who wrote them, one sentence sort of synopsis, and a couple of quick little teasers of what might be in the episode. So if you're looking for hard spoilers, you won't find those in this video, I'm afraid. They are out there on the internet, and I'll also warn anybody who's looking to comment and spoil the fun with you know, on the comments on this video with, you know, with actual spoilers. We will be moderating heavily on this one, and if you put spoilers up, we will either remove it, or if we're forced to, switch off comments altogether. We don't want to do that. We don't want to give people so much information that it actually stops them from enjoying the episodes. We just want to give little teasers to get people excited. So that's what you'll find in this video. So shockingly, we're going to start with episode 1. It's already been confirmed to be called Deep Breath, and it contains the Doctor and friends investigating a series of spontaneous combustions in Victorian London. In terms of teasers, I'll say that this episode opens with what might be the most ridiculous and wonderful method of crashing the TARDIS the show has ever done, which is saying something. I'll also say that the episode does have some connections to an old Stephen Moffat story from the 10th Doctor's run. And the last thing I'll say about this episode is that the Doctor's departed cyberhead friend, Handles, does get a reference, although the Doctor is mildly confused when he mentions him. The second episode was written by Phil Ford and is titled Into the Dalek. Again, as with all the other episodes, I'm going to be careful what I say here, because I think a lot of the fun of this episode is in the sort of the notions behind the story itself. But the vaguest possible explanation I can give you of the story is that the Doctor and Clara have to venture into a Dalek. I'm sorry, that's not much more than the title gives, but it's a really fun episode, and it does also introduce us to a new recurring character called Danny Pink, who doesn't get to go on the adventure in this one, but we're to understand that going forward he will be sort of part of the TARDIS team. But he does get in this episode a couple of scenes at Coal Hill School with Clara. I will say that the Doctor is once again required to confront his prejudices in this episode, not just with the Daleks but also with the military. And someone does get nicknamed Rusty. And the final thing I'll say about this episode is that the Doctor, at some point in the episode, takes 3 weeks to fetch Clara a coffee. The third episode of the series is written by Mark Gatiss and is titled Robots of Sherwood, and features the Doctor and Clara meeting Robin Hood, essentially, whom the Doctor doesn't quite believe exists, and as a result, they don't get on very well, and they're sort of constantly competing with each other, which makes for a very fun dynamic. In terms of teasers, the Sheriff of Nottingham is collecting gold, as the sort of legend of the story goes, but it's not for the reasons you'd expect. At one point, the Doctor is forced to declare that Robin has soiled himself, and the last thing I'll say about this episode is someone shows a surprising level of proficiency with a bow and arrow. The fourth episode is a Stephen Moffat episode titled Listen, and involves the Doctor trying to identify if there really is something lurking under your bed. It plays on the fears of every child in a very clever way, and I think the less I say about this one, the better. I'll add that there is one element of this story that may end up being controversial with long-term fans, but in terms of smaller teasers, this episode does feature one of the most disastrous dates imaginable, the last planet in the universe, and the now iconic orange spacesuit makes a return. The 5th episode was written by Steve Thompson and is titled Time Heist. And in this one, the Doctor, Clara, and some others are forced to rob the bank of Carabraxos, which is reportedly the most dangerous and secure bank in the galaxy. Even how they got into this situation is played as a bit of a mystery in this episode, so I won't give too much away about the ins and outs of it. But in terms of teasers, I will say that the Doctor feels his eyebrows are enough to put him in charge. Miss Delphox, a senior bank executive, makes one heck of a soup, and everyone's favourite, the memory worms, make their long-awaited return in this episode. So that's all I have to say about the Doctor Who scripts and episodes. We hope you're all very excited for when the show returns on August 23rd. If you enjoyed this video and like to see more things like it, we have all sorts of stuff on the channel, but the most recent thing we uploaded was a countdown of our 10 most devastating cancellations. So the 10 shows that got cancelled that we were the saddest about, essentially. On top of that, we also have a web series that's just started called Writing Space. There are now 3 episodes of that available. You can click here for those. We made 6 total, so there are still 3 more to come throughout July. So if you'd like to get updates for when that sort of stuff is out, or more content like this, you can also click subscribe. That will take you, give you the option to subscribe to our channel, so you can see this sort of content as it happens. So yeah, thank you very much for watching.